You hear about productivity everywhere, and sometimes we are made to feel that if we are not optimizing each and every second of our life, we are doing something wrong. So, let me first ask Chirag, you're in your early 20s. Now you have to juggle between your full time job as well as being a student. What do you think about productivity?
For me, productivity is more about the quality of time you're spending doing something. So, for example, I have observed even when I was a working student, where I had to just work for 4 hours a day, because I was being very optimal with how I spent my time, I could actually get a lot of things done. Like rolling out full on features for those who know coding and stuff. So, yeah, for me, productivity is mostly about how you spend your time, how well you spend your time.
Hmm. Yeah, for most people, they think that if you can cram the maximum amount of work in one day, you are being productive. Whereas I think this line that I read really resonates with me as well. That productivity is not maximizing the things you can do in a day, rather doing the right thing effectively. When you have so many things going on, like you have to study also, you have to do your work, you have to manage your life on your own. Do you still think about productivity? How can you optimize your time to the best possible level? So what do you do to keep yourself productive?
So I try to mostly optimize in the things that we lose a lot of time in. So for example, cooking, that is something that people can spend a lot of time in or spend a lot of money in that. Sometimes it's very easy. You spend more money, you get your time back. You're just buying your time by just not cooking, and then you can have a meal in 30 minutes or something like that. Unfortunately, in Germany, you can't just order something that easily. And for me, the food isn't even that good. So here, what I do is, since I'm living with some other flatmates, we three of us together, we just cook a meal and we try to optimize that we get the best tasting food within like an hour. So we should be done with cooking in 45 minutes, and in 15 minutes we should eat and then go back to our work. This is where I try to optimize the most, because that's something that you have to do every day. And if you can't optimize the amount of time you are spending in cooking and eating, and specifically eating healthy, you can eat junk all the day you want, but then in the end it would affect your health and you can't be quote unquote productive anymore. So you have to take care of your health as well.
I think for me, I'm not a very long hour working person. I think I have realized that what works is that I have to set a focus time that this is a thing I want to do and I'll dedicate a particular time and I'll just try to work 100% on that. And then I want to rest. And then I want to work when I've chosen and then I want to rest. So for me, it's like either doing and then not doing at all. So how do you manage your energy level and works the whole day?
Uh, yeah, so what happens for me is if I wake up at a specific time, that's like an early morning. Let's say if I wake up at 7, I already know that I am gonna win the whole day. Then my energy levels are actually through the roof. Uh, Even though I sleep at 2, but if I wake up at 7 specifically, then I just can't do anything. And second of all, I think I try to get done with all the scrut work, uh, the washing of clothes and all that stuff beforehand. Like before sleeping, I actually make my breakfast. So what I do is I just make 2 glasses of protein shake with like banana and almond milk. And when I wake up, I just wash my face, start brushing, uh, meditate for 15 minutes. Then I drink my protein shake, and I'm good to go for the next 4 hours. And then the goal for me is basically to start working, get on the keyboard as soon as you wake up, because the more time you spend procrastinating your actual work, the worse it's gonna get. So, for example, today it was a Sunday. Woke up very late at like 9. I was supposed to make some music and finish some stuff today, and that couldn't happen because I just was lazy in the morning. And I delayed it till in the afternoon, and then yeah, things did not work out for me at all. For me, the best strategy is to get to work as soon as possible and waste as little time as possible in the morning.
I totally agree with this that if you procrastinate in the morning, and because I have done that, and I say, oh, I'll after half an hour I'll go to work after some time. And the more you delay, the barrier for you to start working increases. With every
Yeah.
hour you're delaying or every half an hour you're delaying, it just gets so much more difficult. I think this is very good strategy. If there's someone who's struggling with work, just wake up and get started. And
Yeah.
second point you mentioned about like making protein shake, it actually joins with the point one, that you are removing the barrier, the earliest barrier when you wake up to start working. So you have already prepared for your morning. Then you don't have to think about it. You are already like you have a stuff ready for you to eat, and then there is no reason that you can't start working. So you tell yourself like, let me start 1 hour, then I'll do other things. So first, beginning with the things that matter the most is, I think, a very good strategy. Another thing for me is that I always like to prioritize. Like, I don't like to do too many things. So I'm big on prioritizing what is the most important thing that can be done to get the maximum result, or which would guide me the next set of work or experiments. So strategizing is an important asset in my own life. What do you think about that?
It's a hit or a miss for me actually most of the time. So what happens with me is typically if I try to follow something, I might follow it even for let's say 6 to 8 months. I have done that before, but then it sort of gets dry. So if you have like a timetable, the classic pitfall of a timetable, that's what I call it. Um, what would happen is even if you have a very strong willpower, I might say I have a not so strong, but at least a middle sort of level of willpower.
Average. Let's stick
Average,
to that.
yeah. Stick to average, yeah. So I have an average willpower, like everybody else. And for me, I can follow something for like 1, 2, 3 months. But after that, stuff just feels so dry to me. It's like it doesn't have any soul anymore. So like there's no spontaneity, and I cannot just like be doing the same thing for every day all the time and even for like a couple of days together. So for me, what works out is this thing that, okay, I know that I have to wake up at 7. If I don't, then the day is gone. So that is something that I can make it very consistent because I would like to feel good. That's okay. I think waking up at the same time is anyway recommended by health researchers and stuff. And for me, that is one thing that I would like to like optimize for waking up and sleeping. Everything else, actually, I would not say that we should try to optimize that much. Yeah, we should have a rough plan. Like, well, I heard a quote somewhere. Uh, the the best traveler is somebody who doesn't have the destination in mind. Like, that is somebody who is flexible throughout the journey. So let's say your flight gets cancelled, it's okay. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna have
Doesn't
some
have
fun
like
here.
fixed plan, and who is
Fixed
not
plans. Yeah.
stuck on just arriving. I think I sent you that
Yes.
picture from
Yeah,
New
yeah.
York,
Yeah,
KFK.
yeah, exactly. I think you sent me. So the best traveler is somebody who doesn't have any plans, like fixed plans, who is very
Yeah.
flexible.
Who is not
So,
intent on arriving, whose every goal is just to arrive. So there's no
yeah,
journey if you're just intent.
exactly. So for me, that is very impactful because you might have an overall plan, like that is obviously very good that, hey, maybe by next year I should be able to do this and this, like a rough plan. Like, am I moving in a some vague direction? Yes, that is obviously perfect. But if you try to micromanage everything, that, hey, no, I have to wake up at 7 and then at 7:15 I have to like brush my teeth and by 7:30 I should be just done with everything. I don't think it's gonna work out because life has a very there is a randomness factor, right? There is this chaos in life. Something might break that pattern from you someday, and then you lose motivation altogether. That, oh, today I missed the target that I was supposed to do, and then it all just now like falls off, like you don't have any motivation to do that for the next day. And that's how you end up with like broken timetables, promises, or resolutions. Because you don't have an overarching goal. Maybe you do, but you are also micromanaging everything. And that for me never worked out so far.
So I think it goes with that quote that excess of everything is bad. So either if you don't try to be efficient or productive, that is also not good. If you
Of
try to
course.
over optimize, be productive about every minute of your day, that is also going to backfire. Because if you are super exhausted, super stressed, it will affect your mind, your body. And these are the tools that we are going to use to be so-called productive. So it is important to strike that balance. I think it's a good advice for almost each and every question you ask or every aspect of life is to know thyself. Like, know yourself, experiment yourself. There may be a lot of good advice around, there's a lot of research, there's so many things, but you have to know your body, you have to know your mind, you have to know what works best for you. So the strategy that might work for you might not work for me. So another thing I totally agree with that is that if you're trying to optimize everything, it will backfire. And the reason to start working first in the morning is to get that momentum. So once you have gone past the barrier that you have initial barrier, you just start working. It doesn't matter if it is the best strategy, this is the best work. But to get into that flow or momentum, it is good to start working in the morning as soon as you start. And it's best if you can plan ahead in the night that tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., 8 a.m., 7 a.m., this is what I'm going to do. So once you get that momentum, then maybe you can think about, is my approach most productive, your strategy? Then you can keep evaluating your strategy, your plan, and what is the most important thing for me, what are the goals I need to rework on. But first, for someone who is struggling to be productive, I think it is important to get on that momentum. Just start working, even if it is not the best thing to do. So do you think around you, people in early 20s, usually they say that that's a time you have a lot of fire in your belly. You want to do so many things, so many dreams to achieve. So you and the people, your friends and other people you see on the internet, what do you get is the approach or the mindset of a 20 something? Do they always try to be productive? What usually goes in their mind? And is there any example of a person or something that you have seen which has inspired you regarding this thing?
Yeah, so in my life, uh, like my friend circle is not that big anyway, and the people that I know are not your everyday kind of people. But from what I've observed is some people like in their 20s, actually most of them, they don't usually have like a very disciplined lifestyle. Let's say that uh don't follow hardcore rules that I have to wake up at 7 or something like that, or I have to eat this much or that much. In that regard, yeah, I would say I'm a little bit different when it comes to that. Uh, but yeah, for the mid 20s, young 20s, they don't care. They just want to party and enjoy. Uh, yeah, that's the vibe I get. But of course, some of the people are very disciplined as well. Some people are, but I've seen that there is, when it comes to following like a hardcore routine, in general, I have not come across such people. But I have come across some people who don't have a routine but are very good at what they do. That can also happen. So to each their own. Like I have seen so many YouTube videos about like you have the Uberman routine, David Goggins routine, morning routine, and all that. I would say that everybody should take that with a grain of salt. Every like normal person, because they are there and it's their routine. It works for them. That's pretty good. But let's say you are a student in mid 20s, you are probably broke, you don't have any money, and you're trying to earn a living and get some good grades in the university. You don't have like time to go for a run for 60 minutes in the morning. You might have to go to the class, or you might have to enjoy some social gatherings in the night, so you can't sleep at 10. right? You might have to go to a party, you go to a club, and then yeah, that's it. You wake up at 5. That's when you go to sleep after coming from a club. So when it comes to all those fancy, hacky health protocols slash routines, and that's what they are called online, I would say please make your own and see what works for you. And yeah, I think that's it took me some time to realize this, but now I know and I'm much happier.
Yeah, I think the more complicated, fancy, too many tools you want to do this routine,
Yeah.
this app, this, it's better to just start somewhere. Try one or two approach. Follow them for a month or 2 months, 3 months, see how it works for you. And then you can add on. Don't try to, I don't think it's a good strategy to try multiple tools, multiple routines, and have multiple things to do at one time. So it's always good to simplify. I think I'm very big on simplifying things, starting simple and then building on things rather than doing 10 things. Because I remember when I was way younger, I even made timetable like 7 to 7:15 I will do this, and after 8 to 8 p.m. this. Then I used to be so good in planning. Like one of my roommates, she was like, "You should be a planning minister." Because I love planning so much, and there was never a consistent execution of the plan that I made. My plan used to be really good, detailed, and there's so much of energy, right? When you start, oh, I have this plan, you're excited and you want to follow everything. And when you're not able to do that, it just reduces the motivation and you're like, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Then what's the point? Then you give up everything. So,
Yeah, like
as
I said before, like the plan never works out because life is not inside a vacuum chamber. You have to also, maybe some random day, some really old friend of yours comes to the city, and then you have to go and visit him slash her. And then what? Your 9 to 9:15 yoga session is gone. Poof, in the air. And if you're not flexible enough, then you're gonna break. So yeah.
so I think I like to follow, or I think the best strategy is to have a hybrid approach. There's some pillars in your day that should be fixed because they help you gain a rhythm and a sense of discipline structure. So you should have certain things fixed and keep a lot of other spaces open. Another, in everything in my life, I would try to optimize for 80 to 90%. Say I have a routine or something, if I'm able to follow 80 to 90%, this is good enough. So always there will be 10% of flexibility of error or flexibility for doing certain things, it's fine. If I can achieve like 90% of goodness in that particular time, it's good enough. I'm happy with the outcome.
I would say to each their own. I would still not assign 80 to 90% to my routine because I think life is really, really unpredictable. Sometimes it could be a zero. Let's say you have some emergency, or let's say that day you are very sick, or something like that, or not even sick. That day you have no motivation to do anything at all. Then what? Uh, then 0% that day, right? For me, I would say an overall all goal towards which I'm approaching is very important. So, like, I should have like a yearly plan, maybe a quarterly. I'm gonna think about the quarterly one, but at least a yearly goal that, hey, where should I be by the next year? And it's very important to ask yourself that, hey, am I approaching towards that, or I am going backwards? So what's happening? So for me, it's more about optimizing for the end goal rather than optimizing for the entire day. Some few stuff that you said, I can agree with, like anchor points. That can be done, for example, in the morning, wake up at the same time. That's pretty helpful. Maybe on the weekends, not, you can go to the club and stuff, and weekends is off for you, who knows. But during the weekdays or for the most of the time, you can just wake up at the same time, try to have a meal prepared for yourself, or find a hack that you can easily make your breakfast very quickly. Maybe that might work, and then you can get started with your work. Maybe that kind of routine, or in the afternoon after taking a lunch, maybe you can say that I'm gonna go for a 15-minute walk, and then after coming back, immediately I'm gonna sit down and start working for the next 2, 3 hours. So those pillars in the day, that maybe you can keep it fixed that okay, yeah, every day you are anyway gonna eat lunch, right? Or you're gonna have breakfast most probably for most of the days. So those are the things that you can actually optimize for. What can you do after the lunch, before the lunch, at the lunch, during the breakfast time, after waking up? All these things are something which is almost certain in your life, right? So if you have something fixed during those critical point of time, uh, in a day, then I think optimizing for those stuff might help you and give you a lot of stability, because these things are fixed.
Now I want to talk about the benefits of trying to be more productive and what are some of the dark sides of being productive. What do you think? Like, is it a good approach to think about productivity, trying to be productive?
And I don't think thinking about being productive is bad, but you should have like a healthy obsession with everything in your life. That is good. Like you cannot be like, oh, if I'm not productive today, then I'm a very bad person, or I'm like the worst of all, something like that. No, don't tie your worth with how productive you are. For me, it would be like this is something that I want to achieve, and if I am very efficient with the time that I'm spending to do that, then I think it's a pretty good thing. Re- you try to optimize for the good stuff in your life. So I think I see productivity in that way. And oh, it's not a must, but it's a very, very nice to have. Some people just live by their life, and it's first of all, you need to know what kind of person you are. Some of the people that I know, they just want to get married, have a normal life, and then live their life peacefully, quiet in a barn. Like, I think that's perfectly valid. You don't have to be super productive, max pro, when it comes to living an easy life, easy quote unquote easy life. So it depends. If you have a certain goal, and if you want to reach towards that, then you might want to optimize for productivity, but productivity might not be for everybody, right?
I think so too, that being productive will help you achieve the goals that you want to achieve. Being productive can also help you living a more balanced life. So if you're someone who optimize strategically for efficiency, you are someone who prioritize the right tasks, that will give you more time to spend with your family, on your hobbies, or doing other things. So being productive is not only about the amount of success you can get in whatever you're aiming for, but it could also be a good strategy to even have a more balanced, happy kind of a life, because not everyone wants to work 70 hours per week. Some people just want to do a good job. They love doing what they do, but they also want to have a good life with their family, leisure, play. So if you're productive, you'll get more time to do other things as well. As a student also, you can study more. Maybe you can do extra courses. You can do uh you can play sports also. You can add many more layers if you have more time with you. And again, I want to reiterate the fact, the statement I read about productivity is not about maximizing the number of things or cramming 100 things in one day. It's about doing the right thing effectively. What are the right things for you, and what is the best strategy for you to do effectively? So if
Everything, we have a limited X amount of energy in a day. And even being productive, or basically utilizing your time 100% for that amount of time that you are trying to be productive, takes away your energy. And for some people, they might actually not like their job at all. They just want to be there, just want to do an okay job, clock out at 8 or 6 in the evening, and yeah, that's it. And then they want to go home and live their life peacefully. And if you don't like your work, it's very hard to be productive in that. Give your 100% in that for sure. Um, so I would say still productivity is not for everybody, because for some people they are just paid by just to show up and then do some work and then go home. No matter if they are 100% effective at their job or 50% effective at their job, they still have to work for that fixed amount of time and then they have to go home. And doing 50% versus 100% there's a big delta in energy. Like the gap is huge. Being 100% effective all the time it takes a lot of energy. So I would be
I don't
careful
know.
and
In general, humans are, our brain are made to, we can't focus 100% of the time. There is
Mhm.
like a study that shows that as human, we can use our brain in a focused manner for maybe max around 90 minutes. After that, we do need a break. So again, thinking about what are the things that are going to give me, recharge me. So if you know that taking 5 minutes break, walking, is going to help you recharge, then again you are in a sense being productive means working with your best self. But being productive doesn't mean that you should try to optimize for maximum things at the cost of being overexhausted. Because if you're
Mhm.
overexhausted in long run, 5 to 10, 15 years, you are not going to be productive for your whole life, right? So
Yeah,
you have to again play the long game.
sure.
You have to think about for your body, when do you need to take break? And again, it's like lifestyle is always tied into whatever you want to do. So if you haven't slept well, will you be productive? How long can you be productive without sleepless nights? So your
Not
lifestyle
at
will
all.
play a role in everything. So if
Mhm.
you have slept, had a good 8 hours sleep, you haven't eaten a lot of junk or which tires your body, because digestion takes in a lot of energy. So what kind of food are we eating? Are we taking break in between our work? Are we doing like trying to multitask? Are we stressed out during our work? So all
Yeah,
your
but that takes the discussion to another tangent. The topic was about productivity, but I would say that productivity might not be actually for you, in a sense, like for the people who don't want to be productive. For
so yeah,
example,
that is obviously a choice, right? Even
yeah,
if you don't
yeah.
love your job, even if someone doesn't love their job,
Yeah.
there is a sense of pleasure in being engaged.
Mhm.
And no matter what kind of job you have, I think usually you will have some kind of pressure or deadline to at least show up for something. It's rare that you're doing almost nothing.
Mhm. I'm not
What kind
saying
of
that.
ads for
So,
those jobs?
so the thing is, people quite always try to make it either 0 or 100%. I'm saying that being, let's say, 70% effective at your job might actually do the job for you, and you don't
Yeah,
have to be that productive. So, quote unquote, if we are just measuring productivity as like the
outcome.
amount of work done in X amount of time, or
Fine.
yeah, maybe you are at 70%, maybe you are at 60%, and you might still get away at your job. But that difference of 30% between 70 and 100% productivity, I think it's a logarithmic kind of energy, what do you say, consumption. So if you are 70% productive, maybe you will have X amount of energy loss. But if you are, let's say, 100% effective, that energy might become 2x or something like that, the energy consumed from you.
Yeah,
So,
optimize for your priorities in life.
yeah.
Succeeding in that job, you want to grow, you become want to be efficient or known as master in a
Hmm.
particular field. If that is your priority, you are going to invest your energy in that area. If that job is something that doesn't just is just for you to live by, just as a paycheck, then you see what is the best way to do your work. I think as humans, we do feel a sense of value in accomplishing thing, even if we might
Hmm.
not love our job. But there is a reward that you get once you have done you have completed a task. So you might just set in a goal for yourself, which may not be very high, but if you have set in your, even if you don't like your work and you have set in a goal which is average to,
Hmm.
which matches your energy level, your efficiency, you set up your goal You plan your day and you get done. You are not overexhausted, but you are kind of productive.
Mhm.
Don't have to be extra obsessive. Not everyone is Elon Musk or someone who is obsessed about their work. Not everyone works 80 hours a week because your body is different, your mind is different, your priorities in life are different. But even if you do not love your job, goal setting, planning your day, and taking good breaks, optimizing for your work might help you feel even good. So, productivity can be different from each and every person, and
Yeah.
it depends on what goal you are trying to achieve. And but if someone is over obsessed about being productive every day, especially I think in your early ages, because we haven't seen life and we try to be think more about being productive, and you have more energy obviously if you're in your 20s than your 50s and 60s. You have seen, yeah, you have more dreams, you want to achieve so much, so then you are more obsessed about being productive. You want to come under Forbes 30 under 30, you want to achieve a lot of great things. So that's the time when people, I feel, are more obsessed about productivity. And slowly, with wisdom and experience, you develop better strategies. You know what you want from your life. Like, the probability increases. Not everyone learns with time, but all
Mhm.
these productivity, I think the dark side of productivity is over exhaustion, over stress, overthinking, over strategizing, using too many tools which end up failing. Like earlier, people used to want to multitask. Now there's so many studies that have shown that that's not an effective strategy. So
Mhm.
rather than trying to do more, do, like, again, more effectively what you want to do or what is high priority. So you enjoy the life you're leading in your work, your studies, and your life.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's something that we can agree on.
So let's, like, now sum up what, with your own experience, you think works in helping a person become more productive, and two, three energy suckers, or if you do, will not help you be productive. What do you think they are?
Number one is having a long to medium term goal. Like, why do you want to be productive? You should first of all ask yourself that if you don't have clear motivation to be productive, you wouldn't be productive, right? What's the point then? Second is having anchor points in your day, and specifically for me, what works is going to work as soon as possible after waking up, having as less barriers as possible or resistance as possible from the point of waking up to actually going to work. And the last that works for me is not over optimizing for stuff. And if even if you have some off days, you should be able to tell yourself that, hey, this is like a day. Maybe I completely destroyed it by not doing anything. I just watched anime all day. Who knows? And it's still okay. It's okay. Tomorrow I'm gonna get back to work again, and it's gonna be good. And things not to do, I would say yes. First of all, like this obsession with anything in life is very. Some people, I think, a lot of advice on YouTube is like you need to be obsessed about stuff. Oh, you in order to be great and all that. I would say maybe that might work for some people, and that's what you see on the internet. But that's not how a normal everyday person is. They are not gonna be 100% passionate about one thing forever. And you should also keep that in mind. Your priorities will change as you grow up. Life would change. Every day is completely different, and you can reinvent yourself every day, actually. So take it one day at a time, but also have a long-term goal. So yeah, that's what I would say.
So for me, I would start with, again, what I said, know thyself. So that includes what you said, having a goal. So if you know yourself, what you want to achieve, you have to know yourself what works for you, what
Hmm.
makes you feel most energetic, or what approach helps you be most efficient. So experiment, develop the best strategy for yourself. Then again, as we discussed, that productivity for me is really strategizing what is the right thing or the best approach and doing it effectively. So don't try to do 100 things in one day. Decide what are the three important things or X number of things that you want to be done without over exhausting yourself. So prioritize for the thing that matters the most, that will help you in long term. So doing the right things or whatever is the right strategy for you effectively. Third, for a lot of people who struggle with initial barrier is to get started. I really like that point, that as soon as you wake up, remove the barriers for your beginning. So you should plan ahead the night before, have stuff ready, already decide that next morning I'll start with this. So remove the or reduce the barrier to start, because sometimes beginning is the hardest part. So once you get into that momentum, you can then get going. And again, what you said, I agree with that. Don't try to over optimize. Not from the beginning you will have 100% optimal strategy. It's good to get going, keep reevaluating and improving over time, and then don't over exhaust yourself. Don't overexert. Don't use 100 tools. Don't try to be obsessed about things that don't need to be. Taking care of your health, your well-being will always help you being productive. And then it's up to you to decide whether you want to be obsessed about productivity, what kind of life you want to live. So yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
would like to say. You can write in the comments down that what are the things that you struggle the most with productivity. Do you think about productivity a lot? And some of what are some of the experiments you have done in your own life that have helped you become more productive? Maybe that can help all of us learn. See you next time. Thanks.